The old mansion loomed at the edge of the village, its once grand structure now a decaying skeleton of what it used to be. The towering stone walls were covered in ivy, and the broken windows stared out like dark, hollow eyes. No one in the village dared to go near it, especially after sunset. The whispers about the mansion, about the things that happened there, had kept the bravest souls away for years. Suresh had heard the stories growing up, stories about the strange lights that flickered in the windows, the sounds of footsteps echoing through the halls when no one was supposed to be there, and the cold air that would suddenly rush from the house, as if the mansion itself was exhaling. But despite the fear that gripped the village, Suresh didn't believe in ghosts. His curiosity outweighed his caution, and when he decided to take a walk near the mansion one evening, he told himself it was just an old building with a lot of rumors attached to it. The sun was just beginning to set as he approached the mansion, the orange glow casting long shadows over the ground. The air grew colder the closer he got, but he ignored it, thinking it was just the chill of the evening breeze. The mansion's front door was slightly ajar, creaking with every gust of wind. Suresh hesitated for a moment, but then stepped inside. The smell of dust and decay hit him immediately. The grand entryway, once a welcoming sight, now felt oppressive, the air thick with the weight of years. The grand staircase twisted upward into darkness, and the hallway stretched out into an unsettling void. Every step he took echoed in the silence, the only sound aside from the faint creaking of the house itself. As he explored deeper into the mansion, Suresh noticed odd things. The portraits hanging crookedly on the walls, their faces obscured by shadows, seemed to follow him with their eyes. The wooden floors were covered with a thick layer of dust, yet there were faint footprints in the dirt, as if someone or something had been walking just ahead of him. He paused in one of the large, empty rooms. The moonlight filtered through the broken windows, casting a pale glow across the floor. There was a strange feeling in the air, like a presence was watching him, unseen but palpable. His heartbeat quickened. A soft sound reached his ears, a whisper, faint but distinct. At first, he thought it was the wind, but then the whispering grew clearer. "Leave. Now." Suresh froze. The voice wasn't a breeze. It was human. His mind raced, but his feet stayed rooted to the floor. The whispering grew louder, more insistent, urging him to leave. But before he could react, a loud bang echoed from the upper floor, followed by the unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps. Someone or something was up there. With his heart pounding in his chest, Suresh slowly made his way toward the staircase. His hand gripped the railing as he climbed, each step feeling heavier than the last. The house seemed to groan under the weight of his steps, and the air grew colder the higher he went. As he reached the top of the stairs, the footsteps stopped, and an eerie silence filled the house. Suresh looked down the long hallway. There were doors to several rooms, each one shrouded in darkness. The silence was oppressive, almost suffocating, until he heard something that made his blood run cold. A soft, deliberate tapping coming from one of the rooms. Without thinking, Suresh approached the door, his hand trembling as he reached for the handle. The door creaked open, revealing a room that was completely empty, save for a rocking chair by the window. The chair was moving, gently rocking back and forth, as if someone had just gotten up. And then he saw it, standing in the far corner of the room, a pale figure with hollow eyes staring at him. The figure was translucent, but its presence was undeniable. Suresh stumbled backward, his breath catching in his throat. The figure didn't move, but the air around him grew colder, the temperature dropping with each passing second. "Get out! Now!" The whisper came again, louder this time, but it wasn't from the figure. It was coming from all around him, as if the very walls were speaking. Suresh didn't need another warning. His legs turned to jelly, and he ran, stumbling down the staircase, the house groaning around him. The whispers followed him, growing louder, more frantic. The front door seemed miles away, the air thick with the feeling of being hunted. Just as he reached the door, it slammed shut with a deafening bang, trapping him inside. Panicked, he turned, but the room was now completely different. The walls had closed in, and the portraits on the walls were no longer obscured. They were all of him. His face, twisted in terror, stared back at him from every frame. The whispering grew to a maddening crescendo. "Leave, before it's too late." With every ounce of strength, Suresh lunged for the door, pushing it open with all his might. As he stumbled outside into the cold night air, the mansion behind him seemed to breathe, exhaling a gust of wind that sent him crashing to the ground. He lay there, gasping for breath, his heart racing. The mansion stood silent once again, its windows dark and empty, as though nothing had happened. But Suresh knew better. The house had been alive, aware of him, and now it was waiting for someone else. He never spoke of that night again, but the villagers noticed that Suresh never set foot near the mansion after that. He became a shadow of the man he once was, always looking over his shoulder, as if the whispers were still following him. And in the heart of the night, when the wind howled through the trees, the mansion stood, waiting for its next visitor.